And what's going on, everyone? Welcome into a week 4 edition of Parlay with the G's. Last week was really rough. I'm going to come out. I'm going to say it right now. Last week was really rough. Guys, you were not on the podcast. We have LJ Basong, Connor Rutledge back on the podcast now, Raider Nation. They were not on for week 3. But guys, I had red, orange, and black in my circle of trust last week, right? That was the Browns against the Giants. That was the Bucks against the Broncos. That was your beloved Raiders against the Panthers, and that was the Niners against the Infirmary Squad Rams, and 0 for 4 in the parlay last week. These are tough waters we're navigating.
That's a tough one. Yep. That just means we're going 4-0 this week if you're doing a 4-peat.
Yeah, the beginning of the season is always a little wonky, especially week one, but especially last week. I mean, you said it. No one saw the Niners uh, losing to the Rams with all their injuries, but the Niners themselves are pretty banged up, and don't get me started on the Raiders. So
Yeesh. Well, hey, tough waters to navigate the first few weeks here. Survivor weeks, 3 in a row. I've been shot dead. Hopefully, you guys can revive me because the Survivor picks have been tough too. But Connor and LJ, it's been a minute since you've been on the podcast, so let's check in for all the listeners out there. How have things been going for you, and how are you feeling about the Raiders right now?
things have been going not so well for betting. I'm not going to lie. The week one came out even, week two even, and then last week pretty much lost my ass. But hey, it's only up from here. And then with regards to the Raiders, we were discussing pre-pod. Whenever they win a big game, I would never bet on them because they're just going to let you down. I mean, I don't think that I don't think they're very good at all. I think they made a mistake by hiring Antonio Pierce. I'm just not into the whole interim coach thing, getting hired midway through the season and then becoming the head coach. That rarely ever works. So, I mean, we probably have a bottom, half bottom quartile quarterback in the entire league. So, I mean, we'll see what we do from here. Hopefully, we can tank for Shador or something like that, but not looking good for my Raiders.
Yeah, I'll kind of echo part of that. I think that my weeks are a little bit different. I think it was good week one, bad week two, and bounce back week three on some of the bets. But when it comes to the Raiders, I don't mind Antonio Pierce because he's surrounded himself with some other good coaches and like mentors and things to help. And I think that that should work out. Give him like at least 2 seasons, see how it turns around, especially with the draft. We can get a quarterback. But yeah, I mean, we have not only one, but two probably bottom 25 percentile quarterbacks. And, I don't know what is going on, but offense and defense can't click at the same time for more than 2 to 3 quarters a game max. So we got to figure those problems out and then we'll see. But I really need us to win 6.5 plus games. Otherwise, my future bet is a wash and tough one because then you're just staring at that all season, waiting, hoping. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
If that's one thing the Raiders do, it's go over their win total. So I think they've done that like the last like 5 or 6 years. But hey, their win totals are always like 5.5, so it's not hard to
Yeah.
beat. So
I think seven's so doable, honestly. Starts with this week, get back on track 2-2. I think we're due for splitting the Chiefs this year. I don't think they're that great. I know they've won by one score, one play has made the difference, but I think we can split the Chiefs. I think we still spank the Broncos twice, and then we split the Chargers. That right there is enough to get.
I can
AFC
guarantee the
West call out
Raiders.
right away.
I can guarantee the Raiders are going to win 7 games because that puts them in the dead zone of the draft, which is not bad enough for the top quarterback. And so I mean, I digress.
So, Connor, you need 6 wins in 14 games. That's what this comes down to. Because you got that win against the
Yeah,
Ravens. They
yeah.
played 3 games, so 6 wins in 14 games. Possible. It's very well possible.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the hardest schedule out there. It's actually supposed to be one of the easier ones this year, I think, on rankings, like one of the top 33% of the easier schedules. So we'll see. But
Well, based on how it's gone so far, you're going to beat a really fucking good team, and then you're going to lose to the worst team. And that'll be the Raiders' fate. They'll go ahead and upset the Chiefs. You'll upset the Bills if you play them. Maybe you'll upset like top dog in the NFC somewhere, but you'll shank a few games to the Pats and the Panthers.
It's inevitable.
That's a given.
All right, so let's get rolling here on our week 4 picks. It's great to have Connor Rutledge, Crut, we'll call him on this show, and LJ Basong as well. Oh, and it looks like we have a wild Trevin O'Kane jumping into the podcast here. He's able to make it. Trevin, if you can hear us now, we got to check in on Steelers Nation here. 3-0 start. How you feeling? What's the status of the team right now?
We going straight to me on this one?
Straight, baby. We already got our Raiders analysis, so we got to check in on
All
the
right.
Steelers now. The fans have missed you.
I mean, okay. All right. So I feel like the Steelers, if they've won the first 3 games, I don't understand. I don't see them not winning against the Colts. Like I've said this before, but like the Steelers just know how to win. Like they're just a weird football team. They're boring to watch, but they just know how to win. And that defense is just disgusting this year. And Anthony Richardson at quarterback at the Colts, like I think he had like one good game, followed up by a couple games of like I think I saw he had like 10 completions over the course of 2 games. That's just absolutely atrocious. TJ Watt's going to have pressure on him the whole time. He's going to make mistakes. Like there will probably be less than 17 points scored in the entire game, but the Steelers will end up winning.
Shit, we're already forecasting our third game on the slate. We don't even need to go over it now. All right, so yeah, 3-0 for Trevin Steelers. Yeah, it's been impressive. I mean, a win is a win. Just win, baby, just like the Raiders say.
Sometimes I honestly want them to
could.
lose for a season so that we can get a good draft pick, but they always find a way to like have a winning season, but like not be good at the same time. And it's kind of depressing.
All right, so I mean, yeah, LJ and Connor were just complaining that the Raiders are for sure going to win 7 games this year. Connor has them over 6.5 wins, so they got to win 6 more games out of 14. But they're also pissed off too because they don't get a high enough draft pick. So it's like it's 2 medium teams. It sounds like and frustration there.
Yeah, we're
No,
never
the
going to get a
Steelers.
good quarterback.
No, the Steelers are a good football team. That defense is elite whenever TJ Watt is out there. I wouldn't even put them in the same category as the Raiders. The Raiders suck.
I'd say the Raiders are forever mid and like lower mid shelf.
Yeah.
Like we're like that Snickle Fritz.
Well, hey, shoot, I remember a time 2002 when Rich Gannon was in the Super Bowl with the Raiders, but it's been a long time since then. So gotta get some turnaround here. But let's kick it off, fellas. We're gonna go into our week 4 picks here. This is Parlay with the G's. We have Connor Rutledge back on the podcast, LJ Basong, LJ back on the podcast, and Trevin O'Kane, Poppy back on the podcast as well here. So we're gonna kick it off here. Last night, if you watched the Giants and the Cowboys game, that game was 20-15 total. Cowboys won that game. 5-point game before that. 5-point spread before that game. Pretty unbelievable. The over-under was 38, and that was 35 points total. So these lines are proven to be really accurate so far this year. But we're going to go over to New York. We're going to stay in New York for the first game on the slate that we have for week 4. This is the Sunday morning set. And we've got the Denver Broncos. They're coming off of a win against the Bucks. They're going to play the New York Jets, who are coming off a win against the Patriots last week. Denver Broncos lead this series 22-18 all time. Analytics have 70% on the Jets winning this game, 30% on the Broncos winning this game. The spread is Jets at home, 7.5. The over-under is 38.5. So, Crut, let's begin with you. How do you see this one playing out in MetLife?
I think the Broncos last week shocked the world by being able to go in and beat Tampa at home. I don't think that it's going to happen again with New York. I think New York's defense is also pretty rock solid. Yeah, I think Garrett Wilson's going to be shadowed by Pat Surtain, and that could impact the game, but you've got so much talent on that offense, and you got Rodgers leading the way against a rookie. So I think personally, I think I would probably want to buy that down, maybe at least a half a point or a point, but I am still confident in the Jets minus 7.5. I would take that. I do think the under is gonna be in the play though. It's a lower one, but I still think it's gonna be a lower scoring game. Something along the lines of like 17 to 9 if the Broncos can't get a touchdown. Something like that. But yeah, I think the Jets cover. I don't think it's too hard for them. I think it's a boring game to watch. And the under hits.
All right, so Connor's on the Jets with the 7.5 points. And then also under 38.5 because of that Jets defense. And he's got Jets money line in this one. He's flying with Jets, 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 Jets for week 4. LJ, how you feeling about this one?
Yeah, I don't think the Broncos are very good at all. Also, that was a pretty impressive win last week. I believe they were at home versus the Bucks, who looked actually pretty good. But I probably wouldn't bet in this game. You know how I feel about big spreads and low totals. It's very sketch to me. But if I had to lean one way, I'd probably go with the Jets. They're way better, and I think that the Jets pass rush will probably give Bo Nix some problems. So if I had to lean away, I'd probably go Jets. And then I like the under as well. I think this is just two pretty good defenses that are it's going to be a rock fight. So I see it being a slower paced game, running the ball a lot, and pretty boring for television. So that's kind of my take on this game.
All right, so we got symmetry to start the podcast. Raider Nation is both on the same page here. Jets to cover that 7.5 points. Also under 38.5. Mentions about the Jets defense in this one, keeping this game low scoring. Trevin, when the Broncos were hosting the Steelers, that score was 13-9. So the Broncos couldn't score more than 9 points in that game. But also they put up 26 on the Bucks last week. So kind of confusing, but they showed up last week. How do you feel about this one in New York?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Steelers defense, at least through the first few weeks, has been proven to be better than the Jets defense. And the Jets defense is good. I'm not saying that the Jets defense isn't good, but if they're able to put up, 9 points on the Steelers defense, they'll probably be able to put up a bit more on the Jets. That being said, I definitely think the Jets are going to win this week, but I like the Broncos to cover. And I'm going to go with the under as well, because once again, I don't think that either offenses are overly exciting, and the Jets do have that good defense.
All right, so we got our first dog cover of the podcast. Trevin's going to take the Broncos to cover that 7.5 points. That's too much. Under 38.5 as well. Everyone's on the under so far. Trevin, your money line for this game. Who's winning, Jets or Broncos?
The Jets. I think the Jets will still win, but the Broncos will cover.
All right, so we got everyone on Jets money line this week. Everyone's on the under 38.5 so far this week, but a discrepancy. Crut and LJ are going the Jets to cover that 7.5. Trevin's going Broncos to cover the 7.5. Look, the Broncos screwed me last week. I mean, I had Bucks money line in my parlay. There was one stat that came out last week that every team that was favored by 6.5 points has won a game the first 2 or 3 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the NFL. So I was looking at that 7 point, 6.5 point spread to go on the Bucks, but the Broncos came out and played. They proved that they got something. I'm just more on the wavelength of I trust Aaron Rodgers. I think he's heating up. We saw that in that Thursday night game against the Pats. He looked pretty good. He looked like he was in control.
He looks great, honestly.
Like they're home again, so they get to host the Broncos. They've had extra rest because they played a Thursday night game last week, and everyone's talking about the Jets defense being legit. I think the Jets defense is better than the Broncos defense, so advantage Jets there as well. So all in all, Jets money line is something that I feel good about. The 7.5 point spread is sketchy. It's an NFL game. So I can totally see Trevin, the Broncos covering 7.5 and keeping it close, especially because they just beat the Bucks 26-7 last week in Tampa. But I'm going to go Jets minus 7.5. If I had to pick a side here, I'll go with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets D against a rookie quarterback and a pretty, low par team for me and the Broncos. And I'm going to jump on this with everyone else. I think under 38.5 is pretty likely. I see it being a rough afternoon for Bo Nix against that Jets D. So we'll go under 38.5. Jets spread, Jets money line. Crut and LJ, I'm joining you for the first game on the slate. All right, let's go next up here. We got the Minnesota Vikings, 3-0 team in the NFL. They're going to play the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. So we got an NFC North divisional matchup here for our second game on the slate. Green Bay Packers lead this series 66-58 all time. 55% of analytics have the Packers winning this game with 44% on the Vikings. At home, the Packers are a 2.5 point favorite. The over-under is 43.5. So, Trevin, we're going to start with you here in this NFC North divisional matchup. How do you see this one playing out in Lambeau?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because of the Jordan Love situation that we're not getting clear signals and it's going to be a game time decision. Is he going to be in? Is he not going to be in? Malik Willis has looked pretty good the last couple weeks though for being a backup QB. Even if Jordan Love is back, he's only played one game this season. He's off a couple weeks coming back. Like, does he need to find his rhythm again? The Vikings defense is pretty good and could probably give that offense some trouble. Sam Darnold looks like his USC days again, like his
Bedard,
junior year USC days, not
they
his
left him
senior
for dead.
year.
He's come back.
Yeah, he just all of a sudden through the first 3 weeks looks like the old version of himself. So I don't know. I think with all the variables at play here, and especially the unknown situation with the Green Bay Packers quarterback for Week 4, I'm actually going to go with the Vikings money line, which obviously means to cover. In terms of over under here, I also don't know on this one because both offenses are good, but the Vikings defense is also really good. And it's hard for me to kind of say, do I think this is going to be an explosive game or not?
Vikings
But
Steelers might be the best defenses in the league right now so far.
yeah, and so that's really tough to say. But once again, I think because the Vikings defense is good and because the quarterback situation heading into Week 4 is just unknown, I'm gonna go with the under on this one.
All right, boom. We got our first Vikings shout out here. Vikings to cover 2.5 points, under 43.5. And that'll put the Minnesota Vikings to 4-0 to start the season. I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking Lions to win that division so far. So the Vikings have come out surprising so far. LJ, how do you feel about this one in Lambeau?
Yeah, to me, this line at -2.5, I think bookmakers are saying that Jordan Love is going to play, but to be honest, I don't really care. I like the Packers in this spot. I'm gonna go with the Packers -2.5. I think it's a free roll if you take it now, because I think they're assuming even if he doesn't play. You know what I mean? I just feel as if the Packers need this game because if they lose, they fall 2 games back in the standings for the NFC North. So I'm going to go with the Packers here. They're going to be at home. They usually always split. And honestly, LaFleur is a pretty good coach. So, and although Sam Darnold looks amazing, the Vikings may have the best coaching staff in the entire league with Brian Flores as DC. So I'm going to go with the Packers here. I feel pretty confident about it for whatever reason. I mean, Malik Willis I thought was absolute garbage, but I mean they've been winning games. We'll see if they can do it against the Vikings. And I just feel as if there's going to be a week where Sam Darnold, just turns back into kind of mid. But I don't know if that'll be this week, but I'm assuming it's going to be this week. So I'm going to ride with Green Bay on this one.
All right, LJ's got the cheese on his head this week with the Go Pack Go. I was feeling the same way, LJ, about Malik Willis. I mean, I watched him play in London last year against the Ravens with the Titans, and that was absolutely abysmal. But they did beat the Colts 2 weeks ago. And then last week, they hung 30 on Tennessee in Nashville. So Malik Willis looking pretty good for them. So we got discrepancy here. LJ is going to ride the pack this week. Trevin's on the Vikings. Brett, how do you feel about this one in Lambeau?
I was thinking about this one. Being in Lambeau is obviously very tough. It's a very hard place to go in and win, especially from a divisional game like this. But the way that the Vikings have been playing, I think that the Vikings are the better team overall right now, and Darnold has proven that he is not seeing ghosts anymore. Whether it's Malik Willis, who did shock me the last 2 weeks of how well he's been playing for that team, I just think I think statistically speaking, I don't know the exact stat on what it is across the league, but divisional underdogs within 3.5 points in especially the first, few weeks of the season have I think it's about over a 60% chance of hitting. And I'm looking at some stats here that since 2014, in the last 10 years, Minnesota has been 57% against the spread in the division as well. So I think Minnesota covers, and I also think that they win. Being field goal difference type game. So I'll take that, and I will take the over. I think that Minnesota, at least puts up probably 21 to 24 on their own. And I think Green Bay is definitely not going to fall by and let the defense of Minnesota shut them out. I think it's going to be close. It's not going to be a blowout. And I think that attributes to the over being hit as well.
All right. Boom. We got our second Vikings call out here. Vikings plus 2.5, money line as well. But Connor likes over this one, over 43.5 points, especially the way the Vikings offense has been looking. They're able to put up, they put up 34 points last week against the Texans. I mean, that was really impressive, especially of how people think about the Texans. So Vikings offense is looking alive and well. They'll have to do it on the road, though, this week if they're looking to put up points. And Lambeau is a tough environment to play in the NFC North. For this one, tough game. I mean, a lot of the games this week are tough to pick, especially when you look at, kind of the analytics here, the percentages. It's a 2.5 point spread. Basically seems like a coin flip field goal type game for odds makers. I'm still going to hold on to the fact that I think Malik Willis is going to play this game. I don't think Jordan Love is going to play this game. I think they're still going to ride with him. And I'm going to go advantage Vikings defense against Malik Willis. And I'm also going to go the fact that their offenses look really good enough for them to win this game. For this one, the Packers D is really good. That's something worth shouting out. I feel like they have a really good defense, from secondary to the middle of the field to the defensive line as well. So that's going to keep them really competitive this year. But with no Jordan Love, I don't think he's going to play. I'm going to keep rolling with the Vikings. I think they're one of the most surprising teams to start the season. Spitefully, as a Cowboys fan, I'm now rooting for the Texans because they made all the offseason moves that the Cowboys didn't make. So I picked the Texans to beat the Vikings last week, and then they beat them 34-7. So they're a juggernaut team in the NFL right now. I'm going to keep rolling with the hot hand with them. It's going to be closer because it's on the road, but I'm going Minnesota plus 2.5. I'm going to go under as well for some of the variables that you talked about, Trevin, in this game with the Vikings defense, under 43.5. I'll go Minnesota 26-17 on the road, and Sammy Darnold gets his fourth win of the season. All right, let's go next up here. We have the LA Rams coming off of their win last week against the San Francisco 49ers, and they're going to play the Chicago Bears, who have not won a game since week 1 yet and have been struggling a bit, losing to the Colts last week. The Bears are at home, though, this week for this week 4 matchup. Right now, this is the toughest game that we're going to call so far because analytics have 49.9% on the Bears winning and 49.7% on the Rams winning this game. So total toss up, Bears are 2.5 point favorites at home. The over under is 41. LJ, we're going to begin with you. This seems like a coin flip game, but how do you feel about this one in Chicago?
It is, but I'm going to go with the Rams here. I think that the Rams showed that they're a much better team. I know they were banged up early, week 1 and 2 with their offensive line, and they got a lot of those guys back last week. And we saw what they were able to do against the San Francisco 49ers. You know what I mean? So I think they stay hot here. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. So I'll go with the under as well, because the Bears defense is legit as well. And the Rams defense, although it looked bad in the first couple of weeks, it looked pretty damn good last week, because I think Brock Purdy probably had one of his best games, last week, and they still lost. So I'm going to go with the Rams here. Caleb Williams, I don't believe he's as bad as what he's throwing out there on the field. I think it's just going to be some time until they're, super nice. Not sure if Keenan Allen's coming back. Not sure if Rome Odunze is going to play. So I'll go with the Rams here. I think both teams, I know the Rams are going to try to run the ball. So if I'm going Rams, I'm going to go with the under as well.
All right, so LJ is going to ride the Rams with plus 2.5. He's also going to go under 41 points for this matchup in Chicago. Chicago's D, some other factors as well. Rams are going to want to run the ball, especially because they have injuries on the offensive side of the ball without Puka and without Cooper Kupp as well. So LJ is going whose house? Rams house for week 4 here. Connor, how do you feel about this one? Crut, this one in Chicago.
I think this is going to be probably the best game Caleb Williams has played this year. Is it against the Rams defense? Is that what? Probably not. I just have a feeling that, 4 weeks in, he's going to start to click a little bit more from the offensive perspective. And I think that this, being a field goal type of game, some of the injuries on the Rams side with the way the Bears D has been playing, I think it's going to be tough for the Rams to score. And I think that gives the opportunity, maybe with a little luck from a defensive score or some really good field position. But I think that Caleb Williams can be between throwing and running, get 2 touchdowns on his own, and then the rest of the Bears, team can just play solid. I think that they get the win here. I do agree it's going to be an under type game based on what I would imagine. So we'll take the under 41, but I think that Chicago can cover -2.5. Wouldn't be surprised if they win by 3, but I think that that's going to be the way that the game shapes up.
All right, so we got discrepancy here. Connor is going to ride the Chicago Bears to cover that 2.5 points. So he likes the Bears this week in Chicago. Duh, Bears. But also under 41 for this one. Both on the panel like under in a Bears matchup here, under 41 points. Trevin, Poppy, how do you feel about this one in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know that I feel good about choosing either side. I mean, the analytics obviously match that as well. I was thinking the same thing that Connor was said a little bit earlier about Caleb Williams of like this is probably going to be the best game that he's played all season. The first 2 games he did not look very good. I had Romo Dunze on my fantasy team and needed to make some plays, and I ended up dropping Rome. Not necessarily anything to do with Rome, but just because I just didn't trust Caleb Williams after the first 2 weeks. And then he came out week 3, and yeah, he did throw 2 interceptions, but he also threw for a lot of yards and a couple touchdowns on the back of that. So like, are we going to see, is this going to be a building block on week 3? Like with a quarterback of his caliber, I would hope so. I would hope that this is like a steady upward trajectory and that wasn't just like a kind of fluke jump in performance last week, but it's hard to say. With that, I'm also going to go with the Bears simply because I'm going to bet that Caleb Williams continues on his development path. I'm going to still go with the under like everybody else here. But yeah, I'm going with the Bears this week.
All right, so we got Trevin, Poppy, and Crut as well on the Bears this week, and LJ is alone right now on the Rams island, but he's fading the Bears this week with the 2.5 points. This is so hard, honestly, looking into this game before. I don't know if the analytics messed me up with 49.9% versus 49.7%, but this is a total coin flip game for me. What made things really complicated was the fact that the Rams beat the Niners last week. So that just totally messes up, everything in my head. They've got John Johnson on IR. They've got Puka Nacua on IR. Cooper Kupp's out as well. We were talking about the offensive line injuries, like a lot of, I call them the infirmary squad right now. A lot of things going wrong with the Rams, but the Bears have been struggling. They struggled against the Colts last week. They lost the week before to the Texans. They're putting up, no more than 15 to 16 points each week. That offense is not looking as high flying and high powered as we expected it would with Caleb Williams doing what he did in college. So really tough game to pick here. I'm looking at the injury report now. I see that Keenan Allen is questionable. I think he makes a big difference. If he does play, that does make a huge difference as well. LJ, this is tough because I really want to pick the Rams to win this game. Like I'm like, oh, Rams organization, Rams culture, they should win this game. But I just don't think that they've got enough weapons to win this game. Jalen Johnson, great cornerback for the Bears. He can lock up Wan'Dale Robinson. And then like, what else do the Rams have after that? I know they put up points last week against the Niners, but I just feel like they're 2 bereft of weapons right now. And I'm going to roll with the Bears because of that. I think, you've got Swift, you've got Keenan Allen if he is going to come back and play, DJ Moore. Can we get a good game from DeAndre Swift here? Geez, they just paid a lot of money for you this offseason. Let's see you kind of run it wild here. Bears, money line, Bears, 2.5 points. I'm actually going to go over 41. I think Caleb Williams has a better game here. I'll go Bears 23-20. Don't feel great about it. All right, let's go next up here. We've got Trevin's Pittsburgh Steelers, the 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts in Indy. For this matchup that we have here next up, 54% of analytics are on the Steelers to win this game, with 46% on the Colts. Dome weather for this one, not much to worry about. The Steelers are 1.5 point favorites on the road. The over-under is 40. So, Trevin, we got to begin with you. How do you see the Steelers shaping out in Indy this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it quick because I kind of led with a lot of it, but the Steelers are going to find a way to win, and they always do. And to be honest, I think this is one of those weeks where I don't even think they need to find a way to win. Like, I just think that the Colts this year are an inferior team. And they should win this game, which I guess is dangerous because when the Steelers should win a game, that's usually the one historically that they end up losing, and they're definitely an underdog type team. But I still think the way that defense is playing, the way Anthony Richardson's played the last couple of weeks, like I just think that they're going to give him nightmares. And with that, you always got to go the under on Steeler games. They're unfortunately a boring football team to watch the last few years. Funny enough, it kind of reminds me of like San Diego State football to a certain extent back when we were in college, just like lower scoring,
Got
like
out Pumphrey,
boring,
baby.
yeah, boring football, maybe break some runs, but that's about it. But yeah, Steelers to win and go on the under.
All right, so that would push the Steelers to 4-0, just like some of the picks that we had for the Green Bay Minnesota game. If Minnesota wins, that pushes them to 4-0 as well. So Trevin Poppy O'Kane is riding the steel curtain this week in Indy. Crut, how do you feel about this one in Indy?
I think this one, divisional game, right? They're same division, I believe. AFC North.
Colts in the South.
Oh, Colts are in the South. Why did I think there was North? I guess it would make sense geographically, but that's not how it always works. Well,
Especially when you got the Kansas City Chiefs in the West and they're all the way out there in Missouri.
Yeah, you're right. So, okay. So I'm an idiot. I was going to use some statistics in here. So now I'll just go off gut. And
he's going to give you an AFC North unders. That's what he's going to give you.
I was going to give you some AFC North unders, but I am going to take the under. I'll start with that. Both teams, regardless, with division and without division, are around 56 to 60% in the last 10 years, hitting unders for these types of games. But I think that Indianapolis being the home team here is going to get the job done. I think, we see plays that Anthony Richardson makes where he throws a dart on the fly, running out of the pocket, back, like stepping back on his back foot. And then you see him just like make the worst throw into the end zone for a pick, like the next play. I think he's gonna like review the tape. He's gonna try to like hold the ball and be a little bit more accountable on that. I don't think that's gonna necessarily happen, but at the same time, Justin Fields, I love the guy. Is he gonna go 4-0? I don't see that happening. Like unless TJ Watt single-handedly gets the dub, I don't think that the Steelers are going 4-0 on the road here against a good Indianapolis team that has had a couple bad weeks, a couple bad close losses. So I think Indianapolis takes it money line. It's plus 105. It's pretty much a pick 'em. 1.5 point spread will cover that easily. So the under, I'd say, is probably what I'm most sure about in this game.
Is Anthony Richardson just the new Jameis Winston at QB?
You know what? People get a lot of credit for big seasons. Shohei's 50-50, but we keep forgetting about Jameis is 30-30. So I don't know. But it's too soon to say on that. But there's always potential. I think he's more athletic than Jameis was, but I have some optimism that he's going to have a bounce back week here, and they're going to get another win.
All right, so Crut is on the Colts. Slap it up with the Horsies this week, getting a win, pushing themselves to 2-2. That steel curtain's coming to town, but the buck stops with the Colts kick to the face. 3-1, the Steelers would be in that scenario. LJ, how do you feel about this one in Indy?
Yeah, so this one's a tough one, but I'm going to go back to kind of what Trevin said about the games that the Steelers are supposed to win. They always kind of lose these weird random games. So I'm gonna go with the Colts here. I think the Steelers defense probably top 3 in the league, but for whatever reason, I just have this gut feeling that the Colts are just gonna pull some bullshit and somehow win. I do think for whatever reason, I could see this kind of being a higher scoring game for Pittsburgh standards. So I'm going to go with the over 48 is what it's at right now. I think Justin Fields has the monster game because the Colts secondary is pretty ass. But for whatever reason, I feel like some of these deep shots that Anthony Richardson is just throwing YOLO balls. I think it'll connect on some of them. So I think it'll be a pretty close game, but I think the Colts win at home by about a field goal.
Damn. All right. So we got discrepancies here. The Raiders Nation is backing up the Colts this week. Both Crut and LJ are going to ride the Colts in this one. LJ adversely, though, is going to take the over in this one. Dome environment on the turf, going over 40 points for this one. And the Colts get a win and push themselves to 2-2. Trevin, I can't leave you hanging. The Steelers are 3-0 for a reason. They find a way to win fucking football games, and the Colts find a way to lose football games. So I'm going with the Steelers this week as well. I'm going to come back you up here. That defense, right? On the front line, you've got TJ Watt. On the middle line, you've got Patrick Queen. Great signing from the Ravens in the offseason. I feel like the Ravens are really missing Patrick Queen right now. And in the back line, you've got Porter, and you've also got Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's healthy. That defense is playing well. I think they're going to cause a lot of problems for whatever team that they play this season. And on the offensive side of the ball, Justin Fields is getting the job done. He's not making a ton of mistakes back there. They can run the ball, short passes, whatever it's got to be. But I like that it factor that the Steelers have, from the coaching staff all the way down to the players that they have as well, just finding a way to win games. And I can't go against that this week. So, Trevin, I'm going to come join you here. Let's go Steelers -1.5. Under, I'm going to ride with Raider Nation. Oh, no, sorry, with Connor and Trevin on this one for the under 40 points. LJ's got the over for this week, but I'm going to go under 40. It's the Steelers defense. They play in low-scoring games. Give me Pittsburgh 21, Indy 17. All right, speaking of divisional matchups, we're going to go down to the South, but this is going to be the NFC South for the next matchup that we have on the slate. And we've got the New Orleans Saints. They're coming off of a loss against the Eagles at home last week, and they're going to play against the Falcons, who feel like they got robbed on Sunday night last week against the Chiefs. On the road, the Saints are a 1.5-point dog, so the Falcons are 1.5-point favorites in this game. The over-under is 42 points. This series is actually tied all time, 55-55 all time for this NFC South battle. And analytics have the Saints at 51% to win this game, with the Falcons at 48%, 49% essentially to win this game. All right, so Crut, we're going to begin with you here down in the A. How do you see this one playing out in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think it just sucks being a Raiders fan because Derek Carr looks so good right now in New Orleans, and that's all I wish we had in Las Vegas right now. But being in Atlanta, again, similar type spread as the last game. Atlanta's been looking good. I think I've just got to go with the team that so far through 3 weeks has been unstoppable, and that's the Saints. So I'm gonna keep the Saints rolling on this and doing both obviously money line and plus 1.5. Statistically speaking, being a divisional game, the under for both of these teams has hit about 56% of the time in the last 10 years. Although I'd say that's just slightly above the 50-50 mark. I think this is a year where it's not going to happen. I think the over being set at 42 is very favorable for how these teams have both been playing, specifically the Saints. And so until we see them slow down or defense really shut them down, I think this is easily, over 42. So Saints covering, money line, over 42. Lock it in.
Down in Nolens. Has anyone on the panel been to New Orleans before? I've never been there before.
I've never been. I want to go, though. Heard it's a ton of fun.
Maybe if they make the playoffs, we do a playoff series parlay
Yeah,
podcast.
right? Like
That's where the Super Bowl is.
Oh, well, maybe do a
Bowl
money line.
59 in New Orleans this year.
Yeah.
A little
I don't know
LSU
if I got
Tiger game.
I don't know if I got Super Bowl 59 money, so we'll see.
Hey, just as home, you get all the commercials, the game, you can hear the audio going on. Don't get your pocket absolutely fucking hammered by the city as soon as you land. All right, so Connor's going to ride the Saints and the magic that they got going on this season with the 1.5 points, over 42 in a dome environment in Atlanta. And the Saints, who dat? There's a who dat gonna beat that Saints. I always get them and the Bengals mixed up. LJ, how do you feel about this one in Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Falcons here. I'm gonna go with the home team. I think that this is about a field goal type game. And I think the Eagles, what they showed, I mean, I thought the Eagles defense was probably like bottom five in the entire league, and they did a pretty good job against the Saints last week. So maybe the Falcons see that, and because I think the Falcons have a pretty loaded defense, low key, just because they got, who was it, Matthew Judon for pennies from the Patriots. They got Justin Simmons
Mhm.
like off waivers. So that defense is pretty good. We saw that against the Chiefs last week, and I just think this is a lower scoring game. So I'm going to go the home team here. Um, the only thing that scares me is whenever the Saints are supposed to lose or whenever they're kind of riding low, that's when Derek Carr will kind of exceed expectations. And then when they're riding high, then he'll just shit on himself. So that's the only thing kind of keeping this out of my parlay, but I'll lean towards the Falcons here. And then I'll go with the under as well. I think this is a lower scoring game. I think both teams try to run the ball.
Falcons money line, LJ.
Yeah, I think they win this game by about a field goal.
All right. And then next question after that, are you missing Derek Carr like Connor's missing Derek Carr right now?
Yeah, I mean, like I said last year, I understood why we got rid of him. Do I think we would have made the playoffs last year if we had him? Yes. Do I think we'd be way better with him? Yes. Do I think he would have taken us above and beyond to, the divisional round? No. I kind of wish we just had Zach Wilson. That way we could just go 0-16, and then we can get Shedeur Sanders, and our problems are solved.
That time, baby. All right, Trevin, how do you feel about this one in Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, this is another tough one. The Saints did look really good, surprisingly, through the first couple weeks. Derek Carr looked good. Alvin Kamara looked good, which I feel like he's been a little the last few years. Last week was a fall off for sure. It definitely felt like a bit of a reversion back to the mean on their performance. Where are they going to go from here is the big question. I think I'm leaning on the side of I think they're going to have a rebound week against the Falcons. And so I am going to ride the Saints on this one. I'm going to go the over though for this week just because I do think that the Saints and the Falcons offense through the first couple weeks of this year have looked better than the last couple years. And so I think that the totals maybe being drugged down a bit by past performance here, and I think that they're going to hit the over on this one.
All right, so we have a mirror here for this one on the slate. Connor is going Saints to cover 1.5 over 42 Saints money line, and Trevin is joining him with the Saints to cover that 1.5 points and also over 42 as well. So LJ is on a Falcons and an under island. Another one that's extremely tough. Like Rams, Bears, total coin flip. I feel like this is a total coin flip as well. I don't like the fact that Kamara didn't practice this week with hip and rib injuries as well. He makes a huge difference for that Saints offense. Without him, you got Bijan Robinson on the other side of the ball with the weapons, and Kirk Cousins looks like he's developing as these games are going on. The offense is looking better. And as LJ was mentioning, all the superstars that the Falcons have on the defensive side of the ball, Grady Jarrett, Matt Judon, Justin Simmons, Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell at cornerback. A lot of talent on the Falcons team, a lot to be desired. But I as well am going to roll with Trevin, and I'm also going to roll with Connor on this one as well. The Saints scored 47 points week 1. They scored 44 points week 2, both in wins. They had a hiccup last week, only scoring 12 points against the Eagles. But to me, they've looked like a better team this season. So if they can get in that ice bath, if they can get healthy, and let's get Kamara back on the field, I'm riding the Saints in this one. So give me the Saints with the 1.5 points over 42. I'm going to join that island as well in a dome environment and a close game. Saints 24, Falcons 21. All right, let's go next up here. We're going to stay in the NFC South where the Panthers are going to be hosting the Cincinnati Bengals this week. Oh my God, Cincinnati Bengals, you have fucked me 3 weeks in a row. I can't trust you for anything, but here you are again playing the Carolina Panthers, and we need to pick this game this week. The Bengals on the road are 4.5 point favorites. The over-under is 48. This series is tied 3-3 all time. Analytics have the Bengals with 65% in this one, and the Panthers at 35% in this one. LJ, we're going to begin with you. I know the Bengals are favored in this one, but can we trust the Cincinnati Bengals to win a football game this year?
Yes, yes. This is going in the parlay. Bengals swallow the points -4.5. I think it's been bet up. I think it opened this week -3.5. Bettors are slamming the Bengals. I like it up to a touchdown. I think that they win by about a touchdown. I think the Bengals, they've looked bad. That Washington game was pretty weird, but they were
Hammered them
in
Monday night. Hammered it.
they,
All the chips on the table for them to beat the Commanders Monday night.
exactly. And it's
Congratulations, Casino.
like I mean, Jaden Daniels played out of his mind. I think T Higgins is another week healthier. And I just don't think that the Bengals are this bad. I don't think there's any way that they go 0-4. Carolina Panthers, we talked about it earlier. They had their win of the season last week with Andy Dalton back. There's some tape on him. They're going to be still riding high. I think that this is going to be. I think that the Bengals honestly smash them. I think they're tired of losing, and I just think that they have Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, all these guys. I just think they're too good to be 0-4. I think their season win total was 8.5. So I mean, they're going to win some games. There's no way that they're going to be a bottom 5 team, in the NFL. So I think that this is the perfect get right spot for them. So all the points, I'm taking the Bengals -4.5. As far as the total goes, it's pretty high, but I kind of like the over because I mean we saw what Andy Dalton did last week, and I think these guys like Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco, whenever they get put in as the backup, they just say fuck it and just they have nothing to lose, so they just toss it around the yard, and honestly I love to see it. So give me the over, give me the Bengals. That's one of my locks of the week right there.
Damn, LJ is holding out faith for the Bengals. He's got the Houday Bengals coming back to save themselves. Where were they the first 3 weeks of the season? I don't know. They're just fucking us in the ass. But week 4, they're coming back to save the day. Bengals 4.5 points. The total at 48 points is pretty high, but LJ likes over 48 in this matchup as well, with the Bengals winning. Crut, how do you feel about this one in Carolina?
To be honest, I just could be quick. I'd like it just like LJ described it. I have Cincinnati covering spread. This has to be this is a must-win game for them. I think they're going to figure it out. I think now that T Higgins is back, he's played a week. It helps out the case. And yeah, Carolina, they're riding high. I think they're going to put up some points. So again, I think the over being high for how bad these defenses are, even though the Raiders fucking sucked against them last week. French. But yeah, I think it's going to be a high scoring game, but the Bengals should have no problem winning by, 7, if not 10 points. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals bangle and they, barely win, but I think they cover it. That should be a lock. It's also in my parlay of the week. Yeah, it's a must win. And I think they have to assert dominance.
Damn, Raider Nation is on the Bengals cover, also on the over as well. Bengals money line, and both love the Bengals this week, enough to put them in their circle of trust. It's amazing for how untrustworthy they've been the first 3 weeks. Week 4 now, they saved themselves. Trevin, how do you feel about this one in Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say a similar thing to what the other two have already said. I will say, Alex, on your circle of trust thing, they are not in my circle of trust. I'm just going with them. The Bengals have not only burned me on what I thought was going to happen this season in a couple games, but last season a lot. They're a similar team to the Dolphins for me, where I look at the offensive talent that they have. When I say Dolphins prior to Tua being out. And I just always think like there's no way that you have these kind of weapons with a above average QB and you don't win games. And then they go out and they don't win games somehow. So I'm riding the Bengals here, but if they end up losing this week, I'll just be like, yep. I mean, not surprised. It's one
They're
of those
done,
weird
right, guys?
situations.
If they lose this game, they're done. That's 0-4. You can't climb out of an 0-4 hole.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ride them, but Andy Dalton in at QB definitely mixes things up, especially after last week's performance. Chuba Hubbard looked nice at running back, like crazy. Was not expecting that. I picked him up on the waiver and expected nothing out of him, and then he put up one of those weeks, which was
Pleasant
nice.
surprise.
But yeah, it was a nice surprise for sure. But yeah, I'm going the over as well. Like I think this is going to be, with Andy Dalton's performance last week, and I think with Higgins back, Chase looking healthier after some injuries in the preseason, Zach Moss, Chase Brown starting to seemingly pick steam at the running back position. I think that this is going to turn into a shootout.
All right, so everyone likes the over so far, over 48 points. Everyone likes the Bengals money line. Trevin, really quick, do you like Bengals to cover that 4.5 points?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
All right, so we have all symmetry here. Everyone is going on the Bengals to cover 4.5 points. Everyone's going over 48 and Bengals money line to save their season here to put them at 1-3. Man, I mean, like, I'm looking at this game. The Bengals are clearly a better team than the Panthers in recent years. They should win this game, but they've burned me the first 3 weeks of the season. I've paid for it, so they are not in my circle of trust. I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't touch it. Won't do it. Not going to do it. Not going to happen. They should win this game, but they're not in the circle of trust. For the purposes of this picks podcast, I'm going Bengals -4.5. They should do that, with the roster that they have. I'm actually going to go under 48. The Bengals defense is so confusing for me because I've seen them look really good in past years, but also this year they've looked absolutely terrible. But I feel like they get a little bit of improvement here. Andy Dalton had a great game last week, but I think he comes back down to earth a little bit in this game. So give me the Bengals 27-20. That's under 48 and Bengals to cover. All right, let's go. Next up here, we got a rematch of the playoffs in the NFC last year where the Philadelphia Eagles are going on the road to play the Tampa Bay Bucks. Eagles are coming off of their win last week against the Saints in New Orleans, and the Bucks are coming off their loss last week where they hosted the Denver Broncos. On the road, the Eagles are a 2.5-point favorite in this matchup. The over-under is 45. 61% of analytics have the Eagles winning this game with about 37-38% on the Bucks to win this matchup. The Bucks lead this series 12-11 all time. So this is looking like a close one. LJ, we're going to begin with you. How do you see this one playing out in Tampa?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really close game. This is a rematch of that divisional round game, or I guess no, it was divisional round. Part of me, like, I just don't know what to think of the Eagles defense. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks here because they're at home. And the Eagles are missing AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Lane Johnson. And I think that leaves them with Jahan Dotson and Dallas Goedert. And I just don't think that that's enough. I could see this also being a lower scoring game. I think both teams try to run the ball, kind of like what we saw Saints Eagles last week. I could see that being a similar game, but with the Bucks coming out on top after that loss to Denver last week. So I'm going to go with the Bucks here. This is mainly just because the Eagles are banged up. Once you lose, top tier guys like all pro level guys like AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Lane Johnson, I think it's just hard to win. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks here to cover. And I'm actually gonna go with the under here as well.
All right, so LJ is riding the Cannons this week. Fire up the Cannons, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to redeem themselves this week after losing to the Broncos last week and laying an egg at home. They come back in a bounce back spot to cover that 2.5 points to get the win, but we're going under 45 for LJ's pick this week. Krut, how do you feel about this one in Tampa?
Yeah, I think this is such a toss up because I've got AJ Brown in the league. It says he's questionable. He's got a good projection. He's supposed to come back someday. I think I don't want to put it all on one guy, but I think if he is back, I think that my prediction here of Philly -2.5 makes a lot of sense, and can hopefully get that. What LJ said, I don't disagree with a lot of that. I think that could definitely be the swing of it. But I'm going to go with my gut when I took the pick and when I wrote it down yesterday. Assuming AJ Brown is out, I still think Philly -2.5 gets the win. I don't know why I picked the over. I think it could happen, but just the way that the Eagles have been playing the last few weeks, Jalen Hurts probably due for a pick or two, probably Baker as well. I mean, they both have solid defenses that aren't horrible, but 45 doesn't seem like it's out of the reason or out of the question, I should say, that to hit, especially for a Sunday. I think this is an early game, right? A 1 p.m.
Mhm.
game. Yeah. So I think they're fresh, they're ready. So I'll stick with my gut. I'll do Philly -2.5 in the over.
All right, so we got discrepancy here so far for this matchup between the Eagles and the Bucks, and that is that LJ is going to ride Tampa and the Cannons -2.5 under 45, and Crut is going to ride the Fly Eagles Fly to cover that 2.5 points and going over 45. Trevin, how do you feel about this one in Tampa?
Yeah, I mean the injuries on the Eagles side of the ball is definitely extremely impactful with the talent that they have that's out. Um, I like Baker as an underdog. He's just one of
Baker
those
Mayfield for
guys.
president?
Yeah, Baker Mayfield for president. And so, I think the big question of this game is, can the Bucks D contain Saquon? Kind of makes me a little bit sad that Saquon went to the Eagles, because I'd love to see Malik Neighbors and Saquon on the same team on the Giants, even though I think Danny Dimes is garbage, but that's a whole nother story. But Saquon's looking really good this year. So I think it really comes down to, can they contain Saquon or not? I think they'll be able to contain him enough, and I think Baker Mayfield as the underdog takes it. So I'm rolling with the Bucks here, and I'm gonna go the under on 45.
All right, so Trevin is going to join LJ on that West Florida Tampa Cannons train that they got going on there. Bucks to cover that 2.5 points, and also under 45 for this NFC divisional matchup playoff rematch that we're going to see here in week 4 of this season. All right, look, so for this one right here, tough game for sure. LJ, you were talking about Devontae Smith. I think he's the biggest key piece here. From AJ Brown's interview that he had on Monday night with Lisa Salters when they were playing the Falcons, he said he was going to be out for a few weeks. So I think he is going to be out this game. I think he makes a huge difference for the Eagles. So without him, that sways my mind. But if you guys saw that hit that Devontae Smith took last week, that was a bad one that he took. He was rolling back, and that defensive lineman just absolutely cracked him. Rookie defensive lineman who I actually saw just got fined $5,000 for that hit this morning. So that was an expensive shoulder that he threw against Devontae. But with the concussion, I saw that Trey McBride is out for the Cardinals because of a concussion. So I think it's going to be the same thing for Devontae Smith. I don't think he's going to play this game. And if he doesn't play this game with the Eagles, it's like, who are your weapons after that? I don't trust them. Philly was a close one last week with New Orleans. They also lost the week before against Atlanta. I know the Bucks laid an egg last week, and they were in my circle of trust. But look, with those injuries, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, I don't see either of them playing. I'm going to roll with Trevin, and I'm going to roll with LJ this week. I'll take those 2.5 points for the Bucks. I'll go under 45, or actually, let's see here. Yep, under 45 as well in this one too, in agreement with both of them. Bucks in a close one, 23-20. We'll fire those cannons this week. All right,
Somebody's
let's go.
got grain.
Hey, bragging rights for you, Crut. You're flying with the Eagles this week. We're not gonna forget
I
that.
did forget about Devonta Smith's hit, and knowing that he's probably not going to play because of McBride getting hit too. Similar. I'm going to stick with it, but I'm not betting on it.
No, especially a 2.5 point spread too. This is this is a coin flip type scenario, but we're picking here. We're not shying away from anything.
No.
All right, let's go down to that AFC South divisional matchup that we're going to have here. This is next up on the slate. This is the last game that we have for the morning set for Sunday. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to play the Houston Texans. The Jaguars, disappointing year so far with 0-3, and the Texans got a few wins, but they came back down to reality last week, only putting up 7 points in a loss to the Vikings. All right, in this AFC South matchup that we have next, the Houston Texans are 7-point favorites at home. The over-under is a very similar one to Eagles Bucks at 45.5 points total. Analytics have 61% on the Texans, about 39% on the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. The Texans lead this series 29-15 all time. Trevin, we're going to begin with you here. It's been a disappointing season for the Jags. They're 0-3, but can they rebound this week in Houston?
No, I don't think so. I think had the Texans not lost so bad this week, I wouldn't, or last week, I wouldn't feel so maybe as confident with that. But especially with the Jaguars 0-3, like, you know, they need to win a game. But after the Texans lost in the way that they lost last week, they're also going to be out trying to prove something as well. As you know, I was a CJ Stroud hater going into last season, and now I'm a CJ Stroud believer, and they've got unbelievable talent, you know, in their receiving core. I don't see how the Texans don't walk away with this game. So going to cover, you know, obviously Texans to win. And what's the over on this one?
45.5.
That's tough. I'm gonna go the over though. Still, I think the Jaguars will maybe put up some points, and I actually think that the Texans offense is just gonna go off this week.
All right. So Trevin is rolling with the best team in Texas, the Houston Texans, Toros coming in. I don't know their slogan, but we're riding that Toro that they got there down in Screwston, Texas. Paul Wow, baby. Crut, how do you feel about this one in Houston?
Well, I think it's pretty sad that Jacksonville is so bad. I can't tell if it's a team dynamic, a coaching dynamic, or what. But they are proven to be one of the worst teams to watch, aside from the Panthers. Given that last week was just a fluke for them, hopefully one and done against the Raiders and the future teams. But yeah, I mean, I think Houston's been electric. I hope it's not a game where Houston gets up so much and then they just feed Mixon because I think, you know, the firepower on that offense it should be distributed in a shootout. Those would be the best types of games to watch.
You're playing against Mixon in fantasy this year, this week.
I actually am. I don't think I am this week, but I did pick up Dalton Schultz for a replacement for McBride. So I could use some tight end love, and that, you know, involves being, you know, at least passing the ball, spreading it around. Um, I like the over because I think Houston could probably put up like 35 by themselves, if I'm being honest, against this poor Jags team and defense. And I've got to have a little faith that they're going to figure out how to get the ball maybe to ETN in some space. Brian Thomas has got to figure out how to maybe catch. He's getting like 8 to 9 targets a game and catching half of them. So figure out how to get him the ball. He's a stud. And yeah, Christian Kirk, you know, he's still there. He's around. He's talented. They've got the weapons. I just don't know, again, if it's coaching or what matchups. The O-line is trash. Is Trevor Lawrence a bust? I heard that on, you know, Barstool's podcast this week. But yeah, they've got to figure it out. And I think that Houston's a team that they can at least put some points up. They're not going to win. So I'll take Houston -7. I'll take the over. But hopefully this is a game that gets like Jacksonville's confidence back a little bit in terms of just offensive firepower. And we're hoping for a shootout. But Houston will dominate.
All right, so that's 2 on the panel so far that are riding those Toros, still tipping on 4-4s down there in Houston, Texas, to get this AFC South matchup win. Both Connor and both Trevin as well, like Houston -7, also over 45.5 in this AFC South matchup. LJ, how do you see this one playing out in Houston?
So this one is tough. I agree with Trevin. If the Texans didn't get blown out last week, I'd like the Jags to catch 7 here. But I mean, I wouldn't bet this game, but I think I'm going to go with the Jags, similar to the Bengals. I mean, this is literally their entire season. This is the coaches coaching for their job. This is, I mean, it's either now or never. This is a division game. So I'm going to go with the Jags to cover 7. If it's anything less than that, I might go Texans because I think the Jags could somehow keep it close. But I really do like the over in this game as well. I think that the Vikings showed that the Texans defense can be scored on. So, I mean, Doug Peterson, maybe take some fucking notes and look at that game, watch some tape, score some points. So I'm going to go with the Jags to cover 7 here, and I like the over as well.
All right, for your money line, LJ, the moment of truth, Texans or Jags?
The Texans will still win the game, but I think the Jags keep it around a touchdown.
All right, so we got a dog cover here, which is really a big cat, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars covering that 7 points in Houston. But everyone on the panel likes the over this week, over 45.5, and everyone on the panel likes Texans money line as well this week as well too. For me in this matchup, look, one thing that's important is I don't believe Evan Ingram is going to play for the Jags. He makes a big difference for them. That's a weapon that's reliable for Trevor Lawrence, adds to the arsenal that they do have. The Jaguars are a completely confusing team for me because they were in the playoffs and won a playoff game a few years ago, but they also just totally shit the bed to end the year. Last year, missed the playoffs, and now they've started off 0-3. So they're a really hard team to judge. Houston, really strong team, have a lot of confidence in them. I think they can win the AFC South this year. So let's start off by saying Texans money line. That's what I feel good about in this game. I feel bad for the Jags. It's bad to have a team start off 0-4, but we just got to pick the better teams here. And for me, Houston is the better team in this matchup. Hopefully they get Joe Mixon to play. He's been questionable, but again, he makes a big difference for them if he gets to play for the Texans. LJ, I am going to join you here. I feel like there is a level of desperation that the Jags have. They've got to go all out. I mean, you're 0-3. You got to lay it all on the line here, divisional matchup, and they're going to try their hardest to keep it close. So I'm going to go Jags +7 with you as well. We watched last season where this game literally came down to a joint field goal between these two teams, and the final score was 24-21. So I'm going to ride that same score where these teams played last week. And I'm going to go 24-21 Texans in a close matchup and under 45.5. So I'm on a different side of the total island with you guys, but I'm going to join LJ on that Jags cover. But they're not a better team than the Texans, so I can't pick them to win this one. Sorry, Jags, you're going to 0-4 after this podcast. All right, next up, let's go to that Sunday afternoon set. This is going to be 4 o'clock on the East Coast. We've covered everything on the morning slate so far, and we've got the New England Patriots going to play the San Francisco 49ers. In this matchup here, New England is a 10-point dog on the road. 49ers are favored by 10 points. The over-under is 39.5. The Niners lead this series 9-5 all time. About 77% of analytics have the Niners winning this game, and around 23% is on the Patriots. Krut, we're going to begin with you here. 10 points is a lot, but is there any way the Patriots can go into San Francisco and win this game?
Yeah. San Francisco, they're battling injuries. They've shown that they're as dominant as they can be. They can also blow some games and keep some a little bit too close for comfort. As a Raiders fan and a Niners hater, Brock Purdy, still a system quarterback. He's good, but he's not the guy.
He's throwing out system accusations right now.
And that's, there's some validity to it, but obviously a little bit of just hate.
He's a game manager.
But no, you know what I'm going to say though is I do think there's a way that the Pats can cover. It's easier to go from the East Coast to the West Coast and play a game as well. So I would say, yeah, I think New England can cover 10 points. It's a good amount. I think the Niners are obviously going to win. That's, money lines minus 535 on that. So, but I'll take the Pats covering 10. I'll take the Niners winning outright at home as they should. And the over being 39.5. Praying to God personally that Ayuk has the career game for the season so far, because I am waiting for that. But yeah, I'll take the over on 39. I think the game ends up being something like 24-17, something like that. Puts you at 41. It's kind of how I see it shaping out.
All right, so Connor Krut is going to roll with the Pats to cover 10 points. They're not going all the way out to San Francisco for nothing, but they don't have enough firepower to go money line over the Niners. Niners money line for Krut, and then over 39.5 in this matchup. Deebo Samuel is doubtful, so that would bode well for Brandon Ayuk. But Juwan Jennings, that was a great waiver wire pickup for someone on this podcast. LJ, how do you feel about this one in San Francisco?
I do agree with Connor here. There's no way I can go with the Patriots here, especially with the Niners off of a loss. Not sure there's even much to be said. I just don't think that the Patriots are very good, like at all. So I'm gonna go with the Niners in a bounce back spot here. I kind of like the under just because I think that the Patriots are gonna struggle to score, and we kind of saw that last week against New York. So I'm
Three
gonna keep
points
it
total.
simple. I'm gonna go with the Niners in a bounce back game. Not confident about it because I mean I do think it's gonna be a lower scoring game. So I'll go with the under and I'll go with the Niners.
And LJ, you taking them to cover 10 points?
Yes.
All right, big win for the Niners at home to cover that 10 points. Look, the Jets beat the Pats last week on Thursday night, 24-3. So that's a cover as well in a scenario like that. And that's also an under scenario as well, under 39.5. Trevin, how do you feel about this one in SF?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Niners are riddled with injuries, but I still think there's absolutely no way that they lose this game. The spread is huge though at 10 points, and those spreads are, I don't know, it's hard. It's hard to reel in how I feel about that spread, to be honest. I have a lot of mixed emotions there. Do we know, is Kittle back this week or is he still injured? And it's still
Questionable.
up in the air.
How many
I think
reports
that,
are we going to read that say questionable? It's like that word is so vague. You have no idea.
yeah,
And they're not going to
I
let us
think
know until before kickoff.
that's obviously like a pretty impactful player given the other people that they have out on the team already. That could be a pretty big influence. But I think I'm gonna go. I am gonna go with the Niners to cover here, even though I don't feel great about that spread. Because I'm going with them to cover though, and it's such a big spread. I know that last week it was, that they would have covered with the 3 point game, and it would have been the under. But I always have to go the over when there's big spreads like that. I just have to bet on it being a little bit more of a higher scoring game. So I'm going to go with the over. I'm going with the Niners to cover.
All right. So for this matchup, this is a little interesting so far for the panel. Connor has the Pats covering. LJ has the Niners covering. Trevin has the Niners covering, but a little bit of difference in over-unders here. Trevin is going to join Connor on over 39.5, where LJ is sitting at under 39.5, and everyone on the panel is going Niners money line this week. For me in this matchup, I don't like the fact that the Niners lost last week, especially they were in my circle of trust. They should beat the infirmary squad in the Rams. They didn't. They lost that game. It was close. I don't like all the injuries that are going on right now for the Niners. That definitely makes me skeptical. But we're also looking at a Patriots team last week that put up 3 points total in an NFL game. So I just don't feel like they've got enough firepower from top to bottom on their roster. Quick question, guys. Do you keep rolling with Brissett or do you throw Drake May in there?
I don't
I
know.
don't,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
I would love to see Drake May because I think he's going to be a bust, and I just would not, again, a hater. But I think you keep Brissett in there right now, and then if he gets hurt, and don't let him milk an injury or like plays on something that is hurt, and then give Drake May the shot. But like let him try to just keep learning and give him as much time because I think that's the better way than just throwing these guys in. Especially like you get one good guy every year that's like able to play professional ready right out the gates. And clearly this guy this year is Jake Daniels. So it was CJ Stroud last year. Caleb's gonna hopefully turn it around, but it's definitely not Drake May. So I'd say let the guy sit a little longer if possible.
I think if they were playing a team that wasn't the Niners, I might feel differently and say throw Drake May in there. But I think given the situation that they're in at the moment, I don't think throwing a new green, inexperienced quarterback in against a good team is the smart thing to do. You throw him in when it's a little bit more of a softer team and you can let him kind of work into it a bit. You don't want to crush someone like that's confidence and throw them all off. So because they're playing the Niners, I would not put Drake May in this week.
All right,
Yeah,
vote.
I'd agree with that also. Also, like we saw what happened with Joe Burrow his rookie season behind a very terrible offensive line. He just gets crushed, and you don't want your franchise to just go down the drain for a season and a half. So I think you just ride with Jacoby Brissett and like Connor said, just make him learn a little bit.
All right, so everyone is on Brissett to keep it going. You keep the vet in. Tom Brady was making a point about that, how we're expecting too much of these young quarterbacks too soon. Got to let these guys develop and learn a little bit before you throw them into the fire. Everyone wants instant gratification, but these things take time. All right, so for this matchup here, I am going to join you, Connor, on the spread. 10 points is too much for an NFL game. The Niners have looked a little sketchy the last few weeks, losing to Minnesota and also losing to the Rams. So the Niners are 1-2 right now, and it's an NFL game, and just 2 points is too much for me. So I'm going to go out. I'll take New England plus 10. As far as the over-under goes, the Patriots offense is very underwhelming for me. The fact that they scored 3 points last week, they're going to go play the Niners D, who has injuries going on, but still, I just don't see a lot of output for them. If they did have output, I think it would come from throwing Drake May in there and slinging the rock. But, we haven't seen that yet for him, so it's really hard to make that determination. And I'm going to go Niners money line as well. So, Connor, I'm going to join you on that spread cover. LJ, I'm going to join you on the under this week. And then I'm going to join all of you guys on the Niners money line. Okay, let's go next up here for the afternoon slate. We've got those Washington Commanders, where Connor just mentioned Jaden Daniels is that 1-of-1 rookie quarterback coming into the league, and they're going to play the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 3.5-point favorites at home. The over-under is the highest one we've talked about so far at 50.5. The Commanders lead this series 77-47 all time. About 62% of analytics have the Cardinals winning this matchup, with about 38% on Washington. LJ, we're going to begin with you here. This is a high-flying, high-scoring game, such as being predicted, and a close one with a 3.5-point spread. How do you feel about this matchup in the desert?
Yeah, I like the Cardinals here. I think the Cardinals are actually legit. Their defense isn't as bad as it's been in the last few seasons, and Kyler Murray's back and healthy, and Marvin Harrison is him. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. I think that the Commanders, similar to the Panthers, I think that was a massive game that they won last week against the Bengals. I think they could be riding high. They're on the road, flying across, the country into Arizona. And I think Arizona, after that loss to the Lions, who were, Super Bowl contenders, don't think we can take too much out of that. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. This total is really high, but man, the Commanders defense, like I really think I could see the Cardinals probably scoring like 38 points themselves on the Commanders defense. That's how bad it is. I think I saw somewhere that the Commanders haven't forced a punt in like 2 weeks or something like that. It's actually insane. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals here. I'm gonna lean towards the over, but once totals get to the 50, I don't really like playing overs that high. But if there are two teams that are gonna go over their totals, it's probably gonna be these two.
All right, so LJ is with the Rise Up Red Sea. He believes the Cardinals are legit this year, and he's going to take them to cover that 3.5 points. As far as over-under goes, not feeling great about it, but leaning over 50.5 points, with Washington's defense being skeptical, and the fact that we have two quarterbacks that are proving that they can light up a scoreboard. So LJ's got Cards -3.5, over 50.5, and Cards money line. Trevin, how do you feel about this one in AZ?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is another tough one. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks really nice the last 2 weeks. Week one, obviously, everyone's like, is Marvin Harrison Jr. a dud? And everybody freaked out. And it was like, no, like obviously this dude's not a dud. He's a stud. So Kyler Murray is also playing pretty much out of his mind right now. Call of Duty hasn't come out yet, so we'll wait for that downfall in like week 8 or whenever that happens. I don't know though. At the same time though, Jaden Daniels, like he's him apparently. He's him. Yeah, like he looks really good. And so that kind of throws like a bit of a wrench in here for me, and because of that, I'm really back and forth on if I think the Commanders can actually squeak out like a money line here, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals money line, but because I feel so good about Jaden Daniels through the first 3 weeks, I'm going to have them cover in a close game, but I think it's going to be a shootout. I think they're going to blow past that over.
All right, so we got a spread discrepancy here. Trev is going to roll with the Commanders to cover that 3.5 points. Jaden Daniels looking awesome so far to start the season. Both on the panel, like over 50.5 so far, but Rise Up Red Sea, the Cards are the better team money line for this matchup. The guy doesn't watch film, Trevin, but he can go out there and wing it, you know? It's in his
He
contract
no,
that he's got to watch 6 hours of film a week now.
I think he watches film right now. I think after week 8, he doesn't watch film anymore. So we got a few more weeks of Kyler Murray looking good.
Priorities. You know, he can buy 1,000 video games with that contract. Connor, how do you feel about this one in the desert?
I think similar to what Trevin said, like if we're gonna have a desk pop alert, a shootout here, there's I think this is the game that could happen. Um, I'm all in on watching both of these teams throw the ball, air it out, be a little bit more agile with their quarterbacks. Um, I think that Arizona is going to get the job done at home. They're a little bit more seasoned. Kyler's a little bit more of a veteran quarterback, and I think that they're going to be able to punch it through. I don't really like the 3.5, to be honest. I think it's kind of tough because I think it could end in like a field goal game, or what I think to have to back my pick up here with -3.5 is that they're up by like five, like anywhere from 5 to 6. So they're going to force that game-winning touchdown drive, which is going to probably lead to like a pick on a Hail Mary or some defensive sack to kind of end the game for whoever's driving and down, which I think would be Washington. So I got Arizona -3.5. I think the over clears. I'm hoping that this game's like 33-28, something like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game to watch. Definitely don't take a nap through this one.
All right, Rise Up Red Sea. Connor is going to join LJ this week on that spread of 3.5. Everyone is on the same wavelength here with over 50.5. This game is going to be a shootout, and everyone is on the same page here with Cards money line for this matchup here. Oh man, the Commanders screwed me on Monday night. Like I said, I went all in against the Bengals, pushed all the chips to the middle of the table to end the week, and the Commanders came out and upset them. So that was really painful. I mean, being a Cowboys fan, it's been so rare. I mean, maybe RG3 was the last time that I've seen we'll call them the Redskins back then, light up the scoreboard. But now it's a big difference. You got Cliffy K, air raid offense, and now you got them to go with Jaden Daniels, and they're putting up 38 points in an NFL game. It's been a long time since we've seen that. So good signs for Washington to turn that franchise around. But how both of these teams have looked so far, I agree with you, LJ. I think the Cardinals are legit. They took it to Buffalo week 1, and they lost that one. They blew out the Rams in week 2. And then last week, let me see here who they played last week. Okay, they lost at home 20-13 to the Lions. I had the Lions money line in that one, but they didn't get blown out. And I think that's a good thing that they played a really formidable opponent. So with all that being said, I as well am going to join the -3.5 for the Cards. So I'm going to join you, Connor, and I'm also going to join you, LJ, as well for this week. I think they're the better team. Everyone on the panel so far has been over 50.5. So why not? Let's go under here, under 50.5 for this matchup. Join a different side of the total island. And I'll go Birds here, 27-23 at home. All right, we got the Raider Nation's AFC West matchup. They're not involved in this one, but these are two familiar foes that they have playing against each other this next game that we have on the slate. And the Kansas City Chiefs are going to play the LA Chargers. The Chiefs coming off of a win last week against the Falcons, and the Chargers coming off of a loss last week against Trevin's Steelers. On the road, the Chiefs are an 8.5-point favorite in this matchup. The over-under is a lower one at 39.5. The Chiefs lead this series 69-58 all time. Analytics have 63% of the Chiefs winning this game, with about 37% chance that the Chargers can win this game. So Trevin, we're going to begin with you here for this one in LA. How do you see this one playing out at SoFi?
To start, what's the deal with Herbert? Is he confirmed out this week, or what's he
Questionable.
trending?
I think
Questionable.
the line, I think
Questionable.
the line is saying that he's going to be out.
Okay. Well, then between Herbert being out and the refs for the Chiefs, I'm taking the Chiefs across across the board. Um, yeah. What's the over here or under?
Over under is 39 and a half. And a quick update as of a day ago, Herbert ankle remained limited at practice Thursday. So he's limited right now.
Okay.
And that
Yeah, I'm
line is still 8.5, or did we say it was 7 now?
So Wednesday night, this line was 8.5. LJ, do you have an update on spread? Because right now I'm seeing -7 on ESPN.
Yeah, give me 1 second. So I'm seeing, yeah, 7.
All right, so let's play it at 7 points then. We'll play a spread of 7 points for this matchup, and we'll keep the over-under at 39 and a half. So, Trevin, the Chiefs are favored by 7 points on the road, and the over-under is 39 and a half.
yeah. I'm gonna assume Herbert is out this week. And with that, the Chiefs are going to cut like the Chargers. I mean, yes, the Steelers defense is good, but they looked abysmal without Herbert in. -4 yards in the second half of a game, total yards. That's just like unforgivable. And for that reason alone, I'm gonna bet on Herbert not being in. And because I'm gonna bet on Herbert not being in, we have to take the Chiefs to cover, the Chiefs to win. And I think the Chiefs could potentially start to walk away from this game in the first half. The Chargers won't do good, and because of that, I think they kind of pull the cavalry back in the second half and hit the under on this one.
All right, so Poppy is going the Chiefs to cover that 7 points, under 39 and a half for this matchup, and Chiefs money line for this AFC West divisional matchup that we have here. That puts the Chiefs to 4-0. I know a lot of the games have been sketchy here. Everyone's complaining about the refs, but they would be 4-0 and joining Minnesota and the Steelers if both of those teams can win this week so far. LJ, how do you feel about this one in LA?
Yeah, this one's tough because, I mean, as we mentioned, the Chiefs have not really been that great all year. They, of course, we were talking about making calls to the refs. I'm pretty sure the Chiefs got refs on speed dial as well, the way some of their games go at the end. I don't think Justin Herbert plays. I don't think there's any point in him playing. I think both their left and right tackle are going to be out for this game. They have a bye the week after. I don't think there's any way that he starts, but I just feel like Harbaugh, we know he's a good coach. I feel like the way that the Chargers play and the way that the Chiefs have been playing, I think it's going to be close, but I can't go with Taylor Heineke. But then again, I can't go with the Chiefs beating anyone by 7 because I feel like we haven't seen them do that, and since they had Tyreek Hill, it feels like. So if I had to lean one way, I'd probably go Chiefs just because Taylor Heineke is absolute garbage. But I like the under in this game a lot. Spoiler alert. So I'm gonna go with the under in this game. I mean, we've seen the Chiefs games. We see the Chiefs don't throw deep anymore. They want to run the ball. Chargers don't throw to anyone. They're going to want to run the ball. So both two pretty good defenses. So I'll go with the under in this game.
All right, so that's our AFC West insider giving a pulse on the Chiefs. This offense is not lighting it up this year compared to how they have been in previous seasons. So we have symmetry to start off here. Similar way of thinking. Trevin and LJ are going to go Chiefs -7, and both are going to go under 39 and a half for this matchup in LA with Chiefs money line. Crut, do you agree with both on the panel so far?
I do. If Herbert was playing, and especially if that line was still 8.5, I think that's, in my opinion, like you have to take the Chargers plus 8.5. Herbert not playing and the line's still 8.5, I think I would still take the Chargers plus 8.5 just because of the way the Chiefs have been playing. You mentioned it right there, different play style. They're not airing the ball out as much. It's still a divisional game though. He's not the worst backup. Now if Joe Alt and the other tackle are out for the Chargers, that makes things a little difficult. So I'm not quite certain on that. But I don't think we should have a panel all for the Chiefs. And I personally don't like picking the Chiefs because when I do, they never win. So I don't win my bet. So I don't care. I think I'm going to take Chargers +7 divisional game. I'm going to take the under. I think it's Harbaugh's going to keep them in close enough for a divisional game, but they're definitely not winning. I think that the Chiefs will find a way to win. I don't think it's that close, but I think that the Chargers can try to backdoor cover maybe in the end.
All right, so with some experience watching AFC West games, that's too many points for Connor this week. He's going to go the Bolt gang to cover that 7 points or 8.5 points, depending on what you get it at. Bolt gang and Harbaugh and the Chargers at home are going to cover that 7 points. Everyone is on the same page, though, so far, under 39.5. Everyone's got the under so far this week in this matchup. And now it's my turn to pick here. So for this one right here, I don't think Herbert's going to play. The fact that he was limited, with his, let's see what he's got here. I think I was mentioning an ankle that he's got an issue with. I personally don't think he's going to play. So I'm expecting Heineke to play for the Chargers here. That's influencing my pick. And as annoying as the Chiefs are, for me, they're the number one team in the NFL until further notice. Someone's got to beat them. And I don't think it's going to be the Chargers this week. Chiefs money line. That's the first thought that comes to my head. Chiefs -7. There's more for me to be desired on the Chiefs team than there is for the Chargers. Again, the Chargers put up 10 points last week. Trevin was talking about -4 yards total in the second half against the Steelers. So I'm going to roll with the Chiefs and things that are good about them. And I'm actually going to go over 39.5. We didn't mention the Chargers injuries, but Derwin James is suspended this game for the head-to-head hit that he had last week. The NFL wants him to sit out a week. Joey Bosa, I mean, that guy's always injured, right? And I feel like he's not going to play this game as well. So they've got some questionable injuries on the Chargers side of the field. And I think Kansas City's offense gets rolling here a little bit. Let's get Travis Kelce going, Rashee Rice, Worthy, and the running backs that they have as well. So I'm actually going to go over 39.5, Chiefs 28-14. I think they're going to take it to the Chargers this week. All right, let's go next up here. We got the Raider Nation. We're going to travel our way down to Vegas, where actually the Oakland Athletics are heading to Vegas too. So both Oakland teams are now going to Vegas. And we've got the Cleveland Browns going to play the Las Vegas Raiders this week. Browns are coming off of a loss against the Giants out of my circle of trust as of last week. And the Raiders are coming off of a disappointing loss at home where they hosted the Panthers last week. This is a total coin flip game for odds makers. We have a 1-point spread in this matchup. The Raiders are favored by 1. The over-under is 37 total. The Raiders lead this series 17-10 all time. About 51% of odds makers or 51% of analytics have the Browns winning this game with 49% on the Raiders. So really close matchup here. Brett, we're going to begin with you here. Raider Nation, faithful and representative. How do you see this one playing out in Vegas?
Raiders. I hate
Raiders.
Also, during the pod, got a Schefter tweet. Not sure if you guys saw it, but yeah, Devontae Adams and Max Crosby both out tomorrow or on Sunday. So.
Oh,
That's
really?
the news update we needed.
I was waiting for this part of the pod, but yeah, no Max Crosby. No Michael Mayer, no Devontae Adams on Sunday, so should be a great watch.
Okay, so what was Devontae's injury? 'Cause I know
Are
Max
the Browns
hamstring.
going in the circle of trust again this week?
Hamstring.
no.
I don't think the Browns belong anywhere, and you can't put
No
Deshaun
Devontae
Watson.
Adams and no Max Crosby?
Yeah, our two best players.
Okay. You know what? The Browns just I don't know, they're tough to watch. Deshaun Watson's never been the same since all those massages and that year off. I'm still gonna stick with the Raiders. I can't wait to see what this line adjusts to because I think it's gonna be in our favor. I think it's probably gonna be Raiders like +3 now. If I'm not I bet it's a 4-point swing.
All right, live update. Cleveland -2.5 right now.
Raiders +2.5. Taking that. It's not even enough points, honestly. I'm gonna take it. I think hopefully the hard meetings they had this week internally, like their team is they got talent. The defense is still pretty solid even without Max Crosby, even though he is the main reason. Like you take away Myles Garrett from the Browns, it's a different story when it comes to the pass rush, but I'll stick with my bet. I already did the yell. So we'll do Raiders plus 2.5. Um, give me Cleveland money line. And I was gonna say the over, but I think we take the under on this game now. So under 37. God, this sucks.
LJ, I was not expecting that news. Where did Devontae
Oh.
Adams come from?
He was on the injury report all week. I didn't think he was actually. I thought it was just like one of those injuries where it's like rest, you know. But yeah, he's out. So, I mean, I have nothing really to add to that. I can't not bet on the Raiders. Would I do it if I were you? To all the listeners out there, probably not. But I'll go with the Raiders here, I guess, to cover whatever the line ends at. But I do kind of like the under here. I think this is going to be a pretty gross game. This is the ultimate corner TV spot. There's not going to be very many people watching this game in the afternoon on Sunday. So
All right, moment of truth, LJ. Money line. Who do you got in this one?
Raiders are going to win. They're going to pull it out. Gardner Minshew and Jacoby Myers and company going to shock the world.
Yeah, honestly, you know what, Alex, for the sake of it, just fuck it. Put me back on money line. It's
His heart
two
is
and a half. If it
his
was
heart.
3.5,
He wears his heart on his sleeve for his picks.
if it was 3.5, I'd say maybe we lose by field goal. That I could see that shaking out, but it's 2.5. So just keep it all money line for the Raiders. But it's gonna be gross. Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, baby. That's who's gonna help pull us through together.
Oh man. All right. So Raider Nation on the same page this week, even with the Devontae Adams and Max Crosby news. Raiders plus 2.5, under 37 because of some of those injuries. But LJ and Connor are going with the Raiders to pull it out here. Trevin, how do you feel about this one in Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was going to be a harder decision at first because, the Browns lost to the Giants last week, who I didn't think was a great team. And then the Raiders lost to the Panthers, who was maybe even probably a less than that great team. So it was hard for me to kind of decide which way to go with this. But after LJ's Shefty bombshell and finding out that Adams and Crosby are out, like I'm gonna have to go with the Browns here, money line and to cover. Zamir White has looked terrible at running back. Jacoby Myers put up some decent fantasy stats last week, but it was during garbage time that he got all of those yards and like a TD. And I think they had pulled some starters. So like, I just don't think that they have the offensive talent, and without Max Crosby there to get some pressure, I think the Browns squeak this one out. Although I will say I'm riding the under with both these guys on this game.
All right, so we got the Cleveland Browns. We got difference here. Trevin's going to take them with the points, and then also going to go under 37 as well. Everyone is on the under so far with Cleveland money line in this matchup. Trevin, I'm going to join you. I'm going to keep it simple. LJ, that was big news here. The Browns may have to go back in the circle of trust. If you guys don't have Max Crosby and you don't have Devontae Adams, oof, that's tough. Point blank period. Max Crosby for me, I mean, I picked the Ravens to win that game the other week, and he literally blew Lamar Jackson up in the face in crunch time in the fourth quarter. So he's a game wrecker. And Devontae Adams was a big weapon that was needed to get over the hump in the Ravens in that game. But without your two best players, as sketchy as Cleveland has looked, I have to take that news into consideration. Browns to cover. As far as the over-under goes, I feel like the Raiders are at 16 points total with this news, and the Browns, maybe make it to like 21 points. That's right on the line of 37. I'll go over here, over for this one. Let's go Cleveland 22, and let's go Raiders 16 in this matchup. Hey, if they win, again, pleasant surprise here. But with that news, that's tough. All right, let's go. Next up here, we're going to go to our best game of the week that we have. This is Sunday Night Football, and it's going down in Baltimore, where the Ravens are a 2.5-point favorite at home. The over-under is 46.5. The Ravens lead the Bills 6-5 all time in their series matchups, with about 57% of analytics having the Bills winning this game. 43% is on the Ravens. The Bills have looked like the hottest team in football with their 47-10 win against the Jags last week. So So LJ, we begin with you. How do you see this one playing out in Baltimore?
This one is tough. This is going to be a sick game. I was talking to Kenneth. He's going to be boots on the ground at this game in Baltimore. So,
Woo!
but I'm going to ride
Circle
with
the
the Bills
wagons.
Mafia here. I'm going to ride with Bills Mafia here. I just think that they're I want to say that they're better without Stephon Diggs somehow. I don't know if anyone else saw what Josh Allen said yesterday or whatever, but he basically subtweeted Stephon Diggs and said, "Hey, like it's crazy how good we could look on offense when everybody doesn't care about their stats or something along
Yep.
those lines." So
Shots
I just think that
fired.
the Bills, I just think that the Bills are on fire right now. I just don't know. Like, I mean, I'm kind of in the camp that Lamar Jackson is good at football, but when it comes to having to throw from behind, which I think he may have to do today, or I mean on Sunday. So I'm gonna go with the Bills here. I think that they're too hot. The Ravens, they got their much needed win versus Dallas last week, but I just think that the Bills are too hot to beat right now. As far as the total goes, what was the total that we had on this?
So total that we have for this game is 46 and a half.
Damn, that is a perfect total. I wouldn't touch an over or an under because I could see both going both ways. I could see this literally being a shootout. Both quarterbacks just going crazy, all receivers scoring, James Cook, the running backs, Derrick Henry. But I could also see it being a lower scoring like defensive game. So I wouldn't touch the total here. But if I had to lean one way, because it's a primetime game, I'll probably go under because I feel like Sunday night we're all very excited to watch football and we're like, all right, let's blast over, and then it always ends up being a fucking stinker. So I'll go with the under. I'll go with the Bills Mafia as well.
All right, so LJ is circling the wagons this week with the Buffalo Bills. That would push them to 4-0. So we're talking about some teams that have the opportunity to go 4-0 in the NFL, and the Bills playing some of the hottest football in the NFL that can be played right now. They're going to go down to Baltimore and get the job done. LJ with the Bills at 2.5, under 46 and a half, and Bills money line. Brett, how do you feel about this one in Baltimore?
I'll start with the point that LJ just said around like the over, the under. I could see it going both ways. I feel like when a lot of these two high caliber teams like this play, considering we haven't seen Baltimore really like blow anybody out and have like a ton of air yards and things like that for quick scores, as we have with the Bills, at least last week, maybe week one a little bit too. I think I'm leaning more on the underside for this matchup of two good teams. I think it's also, should be treated almost like another must win for Baltimore against a good team to kind of bounce back, and they're at home. So I actually like Baltimore minus 2.5 in the under in this game. I think the Bills they're due for an L, and I think the Baltimore Ravens are a good enough team to get to deliver it to them. And they're both up there in the Northeast. I don't think it's too difficult, but I think Lamar Jackson and the team have something to prove here this week, and this would be a big win for them. I think they can pull it off at home.
All right, so Connor is flying with the Ravens this week with that 2.5 points and the money line as well. Connor, really quick, that over or under 46 and a half. What's your pick this week?
Under.
Under. All right, so we got two on the panel for a Sunday night matchup, prime time. This game's going under this week for Connor and also for LJ as well. Trevin, how do you see this one playing out in Baltimore Sunday night?
The Bills are a team that is not in my circle of trust because they do this thing where they just go on absolutely flaming hot streaks and just put up like 40 something points on teams, and they look unstoppable, and they're like the next like coming of Jesus. And right when they're like the stock market, like right when you're riding high on them and you've got all that euphoria, just boom, right back into a
Plummet.
recession that week. Like, and it's hard because they have the talent, and I know that they can erupt on any given week, but they just have a tendency to just, as soon as you hit that euphoric point with them, to prove why you shouldn't have hit that euphoric point with them. Josh Allen's, he fumbles the ball, he does all of that. That being said, like, even though historically that's how it's been, and I feel like I'm gonna get burned on this
That
one.
was a
You
flock
always,
setup right there. I was
yeah,
getting ready to fly.
no, even though like I just deep down inside I know that I shouldn't make this call, but I feel like you always got to ride the hot streak, even if you feel against it, you just got to ride the hot hand. And for that reason, I'm going with the Bills here. That being said, I'm also going to go with the over because if I think the Bills are going to squeak this out, it's because I think their offense is going to run hot. And I think, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry on that offense have enough skill to put up some points on the back of that as well. And so I think it goes over 45.
All right. So Trevin, although he set us up for the reality that the Bills can be a letdown team, that was the Bills last season and all those seasons prior. They're a different team this year. We can trust them. They're not out of the circle of trust, and they can take care of the Ravens this week. So Trevin is going to join LJ for the Bills to cover 2.5 points. But he's actually the first on the panel that's going to go over 46.5 and Bills money line. So Connor so far is holding it down for Baltimore here on the pick so far. For this matchup here, Ravens, really tough team. I mean, Ravens, I think, especially how they finished last year, they could easily go to the Super Bowl this year with all the talent that they do have. But that defense, for whatever reason, has not looked strong this year. I was mentioning Patrick Queen was a big loss for them. He went to the Steelers. But again, they're letting up, over 20 points each week. And that's pretty rough for the Ravens. And the Bills look like the hottest team in football. So very tough game to pick here. But for me in this matchup, I'm going to roll with what you're talking about with the Bills. They look like the hottest team in football. So it's one of those things like the Chiefs until further notice. I need to see the Bills lose a game. They came out absolutely on fire Thursday night against the Dolphins a few weeks ago. And then on Monday night, they just hung 47 on the Jags. So Buffalo, New York owns the state of Florida right now. Can they own the state of Maryland? Maybe, we'll see here. This is 2.5 point game, but I'm going to roll with the momentum that the Bills have right now. So I'll go 2.5 points with the panel. As far as the over under goes, I actually see this game being pretty exciting. One of the best games of the week. So I'm going to go over 46.5 and join Trevin on this one. And I'm going to go circle the wagons, Bills 27-24 in this matchup. Could easily see the Ravens winning though. So this is a tough one. All right, fellas, we covered all the Sunday games here. We covered the morning, we covered the afternoon, and we've got 2 games left to pick. These are 2 Monday night games that we're going to have, and we're going to start off in Miami, where the Titans are coming to town. This is a total coin flip game, being a 1-point spread where the Dolphins are favored at home. The over-under is a low one at 36.5. The Dolphins lead this series 21-19 all time. 57% of analytics have the Titans winning this matchup, with Tua not being the starting quarterback for the Dolphins, and about 43% is on the Fins for this one. Krut, we're going to begin with you. How do you see this Monday night matchup playing out in Miami?
Well, I mean, is it Skylar Thompson starting? Is it one of the other backup
I
quarterbacks
hope I
starting?
hope it's Tyler Huntley. Hope
If
so.
it's Yeah, it's just regardless. The fact that we don't know and it's a toss-up game like this is sad. Tyreek owners and fantasy, I feel for you. I'm one of them. We just hope that Tua can come back. And I don't think I'm ever drafting another receiver again until they have a new quarterback because Tua is clearly concussion proof and ready to go. But I don't know. I think I'm going to trust the talent that Miami has outside of the quarterback position and hope that they are going to figure out how to get it in the hands of Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, some of these other guys that are out there that can make some plays. But I will take the under. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, unfortunately. It's going to probably be pretty ugly to watch. Yeah, that's really all I got on this game.
All right, so Krut is going Fins up in this matchup, and the talent that they have on that team over Tennessee, and also taking the under as well. But Fins money line, and then that would push them to 2-2 on the season for the Dolphins. And they need some help, with that quarterback position. I don't know what they're going to do, but they put up 3 points on the Seahawks last week. So Skylar Thompson's not looking like the answer. Trevin, how do you see this one playing out in Miami?
Yeah, I mean, There, Skylar Thompson and Tua, from what I've seen, they're like kind of dangling that either one of them might play, but more than likely neither of them plays. And so it's the third option. Um, you know, I'm a crud. I'm a Tyreek owner as well and a CMC owner. Brutal start to my fantasy leagues this year. Same thing too. I will not be drafting Tyreek or Waddle or anyone in future drafts in the first round until they have a different quarterback other than Tua. You just can't trust it. That being said, the Dolphins offense, surprisingly, even with Tua this year, and this is another one, I was saying it earlier, like they have the offensive talent, and I just look at that team and I just think that they should be putting up 40 points every single game, and they just don't. And that was even with Tua in, and we saw without Tua, it looked a whole lot worse. And the Titans don't look great either. Don't get me wrong, but for that reason, because the Dolphins offense just have not clicked this year at all. Doesn't matter who the quarterback has been. And obviously without Tua, it's even worse. I'm gonna ride the Titans here. I think that would be their first win this season as well, right? So I think they're probably gonna fight a little bit harder. Will Levis has to make up for his Mimo week that's happened through the first three games. So hopefully he pulls it together and yeah, going the Titans to cover Titans money line, and I'm also riding the under here. Like I don't think either one of these offenses is doing very much.
All right, so the Teen Titans get their first win of the season with Trevin picking them and all the injuries, especially at the quarterback position that the Dolphins are facing so far. So Titans +1, under 36.5, and Titans money line for Trevin on this Monday night matchup. LJ, how do you feel about this one in Miami?
Uh, how am I feeling? Pretty shitty just because I think it's going to be a pretty boring game. Thank God for two Monday night games. I love sometimes when they do it, unless it's two sick games, but when we have a stinker like this, I mean, it just sucks because the Dolphins, obviously, we know have the ability to be the highest scoring offense, but with their quarterback play right now, uh, I mean, I don't know how I could bet them until I see Will Levis on the other side. So, I mean, pick your poison. I think this is an actual coin flip. Part of me wants to say the Titans, but I'm not gonna lie. I bet the Titans last week against Green Bay and they got spanked. Will Levis is just, I mean, I feel like he has the talent, but I just think he's an airhead. So Dolphins are at home. Not sure who the quarterback's going to be. I don't really have a strong lean either way, but if I had to lean a certain way, I'll probably just go with the home team in Miami and just hope that Tyreek just, there's a broken play and he falls into the end zone or something like that. But I do really like the under in this game. I think this is going to be a game where there's not a lot of points scored at all.
All right. So LJ is going to mirror Connor in this matchup here. He's going to take Dolphins -1, under 36.5, and Dolphins money line. And Trevin is holding it down for the Titans this week. Oh man, this one's such a tough one to pick. I don't really know. I think the Dolphins quarterback situation makes things really complicated. I will say this, definitely put Tyler Huntley in there instead of Skylar Thompson. I mean, Tyler Huntley showed us either was last year or a few seasons ago that he can win games with the Ravens. He was also a Pro Bowl alternate at the end of that season a few seasons ago. So he's looking good. I trust him more than I trust Skylar Thompson. And I think the Dolphins desperately need a quarterback right now. So they really need to try someone other than Skylar because I've seen him go in. I watched him go in against the Bills Thursday night. That was awful. And then last week they put up three points total against the Seahawks on the road. So not a lot to be desired there. This is so tough. Trevin, I could easily pick the Titans here, because they're 0-3 and they really need to get a win. But what I'm going to lean is what I had pre-podcast, and that's the Dolphins roster, with the studs that they have on the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Ramsey and company, and then also on the offensive side of the ball. Hopefully they get Mostert back this week. He makes a big difference for them in addition with Achane. And if we can get quick passes out to Waddle and Tyreek Hill, then we can get something going for the Finns. So I just got to go with them over how, poor the Titans have looked and throwing away games so far this year. Would definitely not put this in my circle of trust. Miami -1, over 36.5. Miami 20-17 in this matchup. All right, last game on the slate, fellas, and this is a good one. This is a Monday night matchup that we would much rather watch than the Titans and the Dolphins game, and that's the Seattle Seahawks 3-0 team, 3-0 team to mention in the NFL, and they're going on the road to play the Detroit Lions. Detroit at home is a 3.5-point favorite in this one. The over-under is 47. The Seahawks lead this series 13-5 all time. About 62% of analytics have the Lions winning this one, with about 38% on the Seahawks in this matchup. Trevin, we're going to begin with you here. The Seahawks are 3-0. Is this a legit team? Can they push their way to 4-0? Or are the Lions going to bounce back this week?
Yeah. I mean, the Seahawks do look pretty good this year, but I think I can keep it pretty short. Like the Lions, I've just been a big believer in the Lions lately, both last season and this season. I just think their team is really, really good. I think someone said earlier, they are legitimate potential Super Bowl contenders. I don't see, even with the Seahawks first few weeks, like I just don't see that out of their team. Maybe I'll be convinced otherwise. But I'm rolling with the Lions here for money line. And what's the spread again?
Spread for this one's 3.5 points in favor of the Lions at home.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions to cover as well. And what's the over under?
Over under for this matchup this week is 47 for Monday night.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know that I see 47 out of this game. I think that, they're both good teams. They're decent offenses, but I don't see 47 out of this game. So I'm going the under.
All right. So Trevin is going the Lions to roar at home with a 3.5-point spread. Also under 47 points. That's too much. And the Lions, the Pride, get their win this week, and that'll put them to 3-1 and hand the Seahawks their first loss of the season. Crut, how do you feel about this one in Detroit?
I'm also going to ride the Lions. I think that they're just the better team overall. Better weapons, better schemes, play style. I've liked what I've seen from Seattle so far for I'd say most of the first, two of the first three games. But yeah, I think, Detroit 3.5-point favorites. I think you'd be silly not to take that. I am going to take the over though. I think it's questionable. It's questionably high primetime game, but being a Monday, a little extra rest, knowing that both of these teams can score, I kind of like those odds. But yeah, I think that Detroit ends up winning by like 7 to 10 points at the end of the day at home. So Detroit minus 3.5 over 47. Hopefully a couple Montgomery touchdowns.
Fantasy implications for the fantasy wizard over here. All right. So Connor is going to roll with Trevin as well this week on the Lions to cover that 3.5-point spread. Both on the panel are going to go Lions money line this week as well. But we do have a discrepancy. Connor is going over 47 and Trevin's going under 47 this week. LJ, how do you see this one playing out in Detroit?
So I'm going to go with the Lions here. I think that they're just a better team, and the Seahawks have played some pretty bad competition this week. I can't remember who they played week 2. I know week 1.
The Pats.
Oh, I guess they played the Pats week 2. Week 1 was someone else who
Broncos.
was Broncos. Yeah, exactly. So their 3 first opponents haven't been the best. So this will be a true test to see if they're for real or not. So I'll go with the Lions. They're at home. Jared Goff in the dome, prime time. They're going to have those black jerseys that I saw on Twitter. So I'm hoping that this game goes over just because I think the other Monday night game is going to be the total opposite of what this could be. But I'm going to lean towards the over here. So I'll take the Lions to cover the spread, and then I'll take the over in this game as well.
All right, Raider Nation is thinking the same way on the same wavelength here. Both Connor and LJ are going to go for the Lions to cover that 3.5 points. Also over 47 for this dome matchup Monday night, and Lions money line, which leaves Trevin on the under island here going against the grain. For me in this matchup here, LJ, I want to point out what you just said, and that was the strength of schedule that the Seahawks have played against. You had the Broncos week 1, You had the Pats week 2, and you played against the Skylar Thompson Dolphins in week 3. So I agree with you. I feel like, Seahawks are a good team, but as far as my tiers go in the NFC, the Lions are above the Seahawks. So Lions money line. I agree with all you guys about that one. I could definitely see this game coming down to a field goal. I was looking at recent statistics of how these two teams have played each other over the last 3 or 4 seasons, and every game has been really close between these two teams. But for me, I just hold the Lions to a higher standard than I do the Seahawks. So for me, that's -3.5 points in this matchup. And then I actually think this is going to be an exciting one. I think they can pick up steam with that home crowd behind them and score points and make it look good. I think the Lions have some of the most creative play calls in the NFL. Did you guys see the hook and ladder that they did last week against the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Like that was super impressive.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an NFL team do that. So they're always pulling out tricks out of their bag, and Ben Johnson's making it look good for them. So let's roll with Connor and LJ this week on Lions to cover that spread, and let's go over 47 points in this matchup as well. All right, that's it, guys. We've covered every single game on the slate here, all 16 games in the NFL, and we picked our spread. We picked our over-under. We also picked our money line as well. But now it's time to make this show what it's called, and that's Parlay with the G's on this panel right now. And for everything that we talked about, let's shout out what we feel best about as far as our circle of trust goes. Trevin, we're going to begin with you here. What's your week 4 parlay?
Week 4 parlay. I don't know. To be honest, I really haven't thought this one out, so no one follow this, but I'm just gonna spitball here. We're going all money lines. You know me, Alex.
Of course.
We're going no spreads, no overs. I'll drop my opinions here, but it's a fugazi if we really think we know how many points these teams are going to score on a given week. I'm going Jets. I'm going Vikings, going Steelers, Bengals, Texans, Niners, Chiefs.
Savage.
Yeah. Lions. That's my money line.
All right.
I don't even know how many legs is that?
All
like
right, we're counting up. We might be treading towards octopus territory here. So Trevin is going to start off. He's got the Jets money line against the Broncos. Following up with that, he's got the Vikings money line against the Packers. After that, he's got his home team, the Steelers money line against the Colts. The Bengals are not going to fuck it up this week, and they're going to beat the Panthers money line. The Texans are going to take care of business and beat the Jags. The Niners are going to take care of the Pats at home. The Chiefs are going to take care of the Chargers in LA. And then to finish off the week, he's got the Detroit Lions holding it down against the Seahawks. That's the octopus right there for you for Trevin's parlay. 8 legs total. Check it in there. Let's count up a quick odds here really quick, Trev. Let's go down here. So
probably don't take that unless you want to be diddled, but that's what I'm rolling with.
Hey, it's not out of the blue. When we do this picks podcast, 12 money lines is definitely something that's within range. So 8 is definitely doable, but that is difficult to hit 8 legs, especially with someone like myself who was unable to do 4 legs last week. That was pretty difficult. So I'm tallying it up here with all of Trevin's 8 legs. If you take that, you're going to have plus 2262 odds, and that will turn $100 into $2,300 for Trevin's parlay. Connor, how is your week 4 parlay looking?
I've just got a simple one. 5 legs, all money line. Keep it easy. I know a couple of these we could take the spread, so fans, that's up to you. But we're gonna start with the Jets money line. We're gonna take the Texans money line. Again, I would take the spread on that if you're feeling a little bit more bold and want some higher odds. Same thing with the Bengals money line if you want, or the spread if you want some more odds. We're gonna take the Niners money line if you can get it on your book. I don't know if I can, but if you can, take it. It's a free money. And then the Chiefs money line. That's it. For those of you, if you can't take Niners, the other one I did like, which I axed out to keep it 5 money lines, was the Green Bay Minnesota over. but I'm gonna lock it in with those 5 money lines for the sake of the pod, for the sake of people that can't bet on a FanDuel, DraftKings type book that are not in California or Texas.
All right, so Connor's got 5 legs for his parlay this week. And I feel like we're converting people on this show, to go a money line parlay, red or black. What can we trust? We're not throwing totals and spreads into the mix and getting killed on those. But for this week, Connor likes the Jets money line. He agrees with Trevin. He likes the Texans money line. He agrees with Trevin as well. He likes the Bengals money line. Him and Trevin are on the same wavelength. 49ers money line. He's on the same wavelength as Trevin, and also Chiefs money line as well. So Connor's got 5 out of the 8 legs that Trevin has this week for a money line parlay. LJ, how's your week 4 parlay looking?
You spoke too soon. I'm not going with any money lines for mine. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals -3.5. I'm going to go with the Bengals -4.5. I'm going to go with the Chargers and Chiefs under 40. Then I'm going to go under in the Miami Tennessee game. And then I'm going to go over in the Jacksonville Houston game.
Damn, spitting it out there. We got spreads and we also got some over-unders there as well. So LJ, recap that really quick. I had Cards -3.5, Bengals -4.5.
Chiefs, Chargers under 40. Dolphins, Titans under 36.5. And then Jacksonville, Houston over 45.
All right, so LJ's got the Cards to cover the spread this week. He's got the Bengals to cover the spread this week. He's got the under in the Chiefs-Chargers matchup. He's got the under in the Dolphins-Titans matchup. And those Jacksonville Jaguars and Houston Texans are going to go over in that AFC South matchup. LJ, I know you got great value there because you got spreads and over-unders tied in there with the 5-leg parlay for this week.
I'm gonna add a bonus one. I'll also add, because I don't have any underdogs in there, so I gotta put an underdog in there. I'll add the Rams money line also.
Woo! So is this like side bet or is this like reputation? This is going in. Is it 5 or 6 legs on the parlay this week?
I'll go with 6.
All right,
this payout's gonna be fat. This payout's gonna be fat.
I think we're getting 3 months of rent with your parlay this week.
That's the goal.
All right, so LJ's got 6 legs total, Cards to cover, Bengals to cover, under in the Chiefs game, under in the Dolphins game, over in the Jags-Texans game, and the Rams money line on the road in Chicago. I like it. It's dicey. We got a lot of value there as well. All right, so for me, for my parlay of the week, based on everything that we've gone over, my parlay started on Wednesday night where I took the Cowboys money line over the Giants. That was the first leg. And I've got 4 more legs to add to this. So we're going to go plus 489 odds with 5 legs total for this week. Jets, money line. Trevin, I'm going to join you on that. Chiefs, money line. Trevin, I'm going to join you on that as well. Niners, money line. I'm going to join you on that as well. And the one that's dicey at plus 124, but I feel good about them and their 3-0 start so far. I'm going to go Vikings money line this week in Lambeau against the Packers to get the job done. So 5 legs for my parlay this week. And based on LJ, what you were mentioning with the injury report, I would eye Cleveland as a money line this week. I feel like that's just way too difficult to overcome. You've got your best defensive player, Max Crosby, out, and your best offensive player in Devontae Adams out. I'd probably not feel terrible about throwing the Browns in there for a money line as well. But I'm going to go 5 legs total this week. All right, guys, let's finish up here. We're going to go with our survivor picks this week. I've died 3 weeks in a row, so this is becoming extremely difficult to pick a survivor team, but we got to do it here. Trevin, who's your survivor pick for week 4?
Muted, Trev.
I'm muted. Steelers.
Woo! Riding the home team in the parlay and for the survivor this week, the Steel Curtain surviving 4-0. So what do you think? I mean, are we predicting like AFC North winners here or what?
It's really hard to say, honestly, with them, because I do feel like at some point they're gonna have a reversion. Maybe the Bengals get it together and go on a hot streak, although I don't think they're gonna make up the ground at this point. But the Ravens, Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I'm not going to say AFC North winners, but I will take them for my Survivor League this week.
All right, let's go. Steel Curtain going to 4-0 this week and surviving. LJ, who's your survivor pick this week?
If you haven't picked if you didn't lose on the Bengals already, I'd probably pick the Bengals. But if you've used them, I'll probably go with the Jets. I'll go with the Jets. I don't think there's any way they lose to the Broncos at home.
All right, Jets, 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 Jets. LJ is going to ride the Jets this week over the Broncos. And LJ, I'm joining you this week. I did mine Wednesday night. I went with the Jets as well. They're 7.5-point favorites. Hey, money line. I like Aaron Rodgers over Bo Nix this week. So LJ and myself are going to go Jets. Trevin is going to go with the Steelers for his survivor pick this week. All right, guys, I'm going to shout out two more things to end this podcast. I had Josh Allison, who was on last week, and also Ty Cobb, who was on last week as well. I'm going to share their parlays and survivors before we wrap up here. So we're going to begin with Josh Allison and his parlay this week. He's got the Pats +10. He's got Jets to cover 7 points. He's going under in the Saints-Falcons game, 42. He's going over 50 points in the Commanders Cards game, and he's going Ravens money line. So he's got a big parlay at +2,000. And actually his survivor pick this week is the Ravens. So Josh Allison is flocking with the Ravens this week, big time. Last up, we're going to shout out Ty Cobb's parlay this week. It's beginning with Vikings +3.5. He's going to go Texans money line and join you, Trevin, this week. He's going to go Saints to cover 3.5 points. Bucks to cover 3.5 points. So he's buying some points here. Bills to cover 3.5 points. And that's a +946 parlay with 5 legs total for Ty Cobb this week. And his survivor is going to be the Houston Texans. So he feels good about them and the Jags. All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining this week 4 edition of Parlay with the G's. We really appreciate you stopping by, all you football fans and sports investors out there. LJ, it's been a pleasure to have you back on, and Trevin as well. Best of luck on the games this week. We got a good slate coming up.
Go Raiders. Go Raiders. Thanks for having us.
All right. See you guys. Take care.
Later.